Hello lovelies, it is day 5 and my starter is really active. That means it is time to mix some dough. You can see it's nice and bubbly, it has doubled in size. That's what we're looking for. All right, so let's make some dough. You see my shirt, it says, I tried to be good, but then I got bored. That is me. We're gonna add 100 grams of this starter to a bowl. See if I can get this bowl in here. I'm gonna aim it down. So I'm gonna turn my thing on. We're gonna get it to 0. There we go. We're gonna add our 100 grams. Just gonna pour it in. So at this point, it's pretty stretchy. And it goes. And that will use up almost all of the starter, which is what we want because we don't want to waste anything. All right, there we go, 100 grams, in we go. And then we're gonna add 300 grams of water. Now, you can, as you get used to doing your dough, you can definitely up your hydration, but in the beginning, it's a lot easier to use a medium hydration. So that's what we're gonna do. 300 grams of water. Go slow so we don't go over. You can pre-measure your water if you get nervous about adding too much, but you can always take some out. And a little fluff, there we go. And we're just gonna mix that together just to loosen up that starter. Loosen it up. And then I'm gonna dump that into a bigger bowl. You can absolutely measure everything into one bowl, but my scale only has so much room that I need to be able to see the measure. So we're gonna zero that out. Now I'm gonna add 500 grams of flour. So this will make a nice big loaf. Oop, and a little too much, so now we take some out. Oopsies. This is the beauty of using a scale. Sometimes it just comes out of the package a little too quickly. So you can use a scoop. A little bit, there we go, 500. And then we dump that in the big bowl. And you'll see some residue on the bottom. I'll scrape that out when I get going. And now we need some kosher salt. So I'm gonna use 12 grams of kosher salt. I tend to like my bread a little on the salty side. If you don't like it, you can use 10 grams. I like kosher salt because it's a little cleaner. All right, you could use Himalayan salt. You could use iodized salt if you like. You can use really any kind of salt works. So we're just gonna scrape out the bottom of this bowl, get all those little happy bits off there. And then using our claw fingers, we're just gonna mix. And you'll see it makes a really loose dough. We're just gonna, it'll make a nice scraggly dough. And that's what we're looking for. We're not trying to knead it. We're not doing anything with it. We're just trying to hydrate the flour. So we gotta get all those little hydrated flour bits up. If you're finding it feels a little dry, guess what? Even though we measured it, we're gonna add just a little bit of water to it. Because what we're looking for is all those dry bits to be picked up. And then it forms kind of a blobby, scraggly dough. And then we just leave it for 15 minutes. And you wait and see what that 15 minutes does. It's amazing. It's like magic. I'll show you. So here's the dough I made yesterday that's been chilling in the fridge overnight. So I'm gonna flip it over. In fact, it came out with no problem because it's cold, so it'll be in good shape here. Now the thing about scoring the dough is it is much easier to score a cold dough than it is to score a dough that has just freshly been formed and risen, because it doesn't have that surface tension that way. So you can either do it cold, or you can leave it out at room temperature until it forms a skin on the top and then score it before it goes in the oven. Either way works great, but if you try to score it while it's still moist and new, it's just not going to work. You're just gonna tear your dough. So let me show you what the scoring looks like. It would have been smart if I grabbed this before we started, but you can use a regular razor blade, clean one obviously, or this is called a lamb. And we're just gonna come in here and give it space to expand. By doing that, you will keep the shape of the dough. Otherwise, it just kind of pops all over the place. Not that that's a bad thing, but you know, you want it to look pretty. You spent all this time making it. So I'm just gonna coat it with a little bit, a dust of flour. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna show the variation. So that will be extra pretty. So there's lots of different designs you could do, but the simplest one is to start from one side with your blade to the side. And you're just gonna come in and make a single cut. If you find that the dough tore a little bit, it's not a big deal, just go back and cut a little longer. So I'm just gonna come back and make sure we have a really nice, fairly deep cut so that it has room to expand. Now, if you wanna get extra pretty, you can come over here and make some side cuts, make some side cuts on this side. So you can do lots of different things. You can make some wheat stalks. I don't tend to go overboard because most of the loaves are for my family or friends, so I don't tend to do a whole lot. But that just gives you the basics. All right, it's been 15 minutes, and you can see it's gotten softer. So now, what are we gonna do? This is a dough scraper. You don't necessarily need to have one, but it does make things a little easier. We're gonna take it from one side to the other and marry it up. Turn the bowl, take it there, and marry it up. Turn the bowl again, over to the center. We're going straight over the dough, so you stretch it, pull it over the top of it. And we stretch it as far as we can and over. And then we go the other way. Stretch to the center, stretch to the center. Now that we've got it somewhat in the shape of a ball, you can do a slap and pull technique. So you can slap it down, fold it to the center, slap it down, fold it to the center, slap it down, fold it to the center, slap, fold to the center, slap. And every time I give it a quarter turn. This is not a traditional kneading, because in traditional you push, you fold, you push, you fold. You can certainly do that, but as your hydration level goes up, it's going to be increasingly difficult to do that. So we slap it down, we stretch it, we fold it over. Slap it down, stretch, and fold. And as the dough develops, the gluten, it will start to get stretchier and stretchier. So that's all we're going to do for right now. We just made it into a simple ball. And now we repeat the steps. You rest it for 15 minutes, and then you fold it and stretch it again. And you do this 3 times total, and then you just let it bulk ferment. You just let it grow and grow and grow. And then we form our loaves and park them in the refrigerator for 24 to 48 hours until we're ready to bake it. Now you might say, Chris, I don't have a scale. How am I supposed to make this bread? No problem at all. You're gonna use up almost all of the starter that we made until just the tiniest bit remains. You're gonna park the rest of it, that little tiny bit, in your refrigerator until the next time you wanna make sourdough. You're gonna take that starter and you're gonna put it into a bowl. And you're gonna measure out 300 milliliters of water. And you're gonna add it to that starter and you're gonna break it up. And then you're gonna add just enough flour and a good tablespoon of salt to get it going. If you don't like it as salty, add a couple teaspoons of salt. It's no problem, you're just gonna go by feel. You're gonna add your flour until it forms a scraggy ball. And then you're just gonna let it rest and repeat your steps. 15 minutes and fold, 15 minutes and fold, 15 minutes and fold, bulk ferment until it doubles in size. And then we form our loaves and we put them in the refrigerator to ferment overnight. And then when it ferments, it will look like this. You don't have to use a basket. You can use a bowl, you can use whatever you got. It will look like that. And then you flip it out and you go ahead and score it and bake it. It takes about 40 minutes at 450 degrees. As you do 20 minutes covered, 20 minutes uncovered, you want your internal temperature between 200 and 210 degrees. Don't let that freak you out. You can go by sight. If it's nice and caramelized and tap on the bottom and it sounds hollow, you're good to go.